National political reporter for Politico, Gabriel Debenedetti, is here to talk about all things politics. And we're going to start with Donald Trump's tweet this morning saying, hey, what? You don't get sarcastic humor? And, we've been watching him for the last, 3 days, sort of hammer down this idea that, President Barack Obama is the founder, the co-founder of ISIS. Hillary Clinton should get an MVP award from ISIS. And then this flip. What do you make of this?
Right. It was a pretty abrupt change from Donald Trump. The last few days he's been being pretty serious about this. People have even said to him, you must be being sarcastic.
Right.
And he said, no. I'm being
on a radio show said, this is what you meant, right, Donald? And he said, no, I meant that he's the founder of ISIS.
Exactly. So I think what we're seeing here is Trump just basically trying to hammer home the message that, connecting Obama, Clinton, and ISIS. And what he's saying this morning is, let's move on from that. Now the message has been driven home. Right. Time for something else.
So if the idea is just to sort of put it out there and let it float in the ether, if you will, okay, that's fine. But now we're looking at some of these battleground states that he's been hitting up. He's got to win over not just his core supporters, who clearly are with him, no matter what, but a lot of these undecided voters. Is this strategy going to work with them?
No, and that's the big question I think that they're really trying to answer right now, and lots of Republicans are struggling with, because the question is no longer, is Trump losing voters because of statements like this? It's who is he going to win over with statements like this? And we haven't seen evidence that he's really growing his coalition at all. But he seems to be running somewhat of a version of the primary, where he's just trying to appeal to his base and trying to get his base voters to turn out more than you might expect them to otherwise. He basically said yesterday, well, I don't see the need to expand our coalition. I just want my voters to show up. So, this is a big problem for Republicans that they're trying to figure out.
Gabe, Trump blames the media for misconstruing his comments. Look, there's no doubt that the media has covered Donald Trump extensively, as we have covered all of the candidates. But the media gave rise to Donald Trump. That was his built-in audience before he even announced his presidency. He seems to attack the media whenever we just point out what he just said. I mean, what is the strategy there? I know it works with some of the red meat folks that are his supporters, but can this continue?
Well, that's the big question right now, because basically what he's doing is running another version of what he did in the primary. And in the Republican primary, it's a tried and true strategy to attack the media.
Right.
People don't like the media. Generally, voters don't like the media. But what he's finding is that just saying that over and over isn't really growing his base at all. So he's running into this wall, and he's trying different ways to attack the media, but it hasn't really got him that far.
So we're hearing that Trump is set to meet with the RNC today to talk about his struggling campaign. We saw I don't know if you have the Time magazine. You don't have it, do you? The Time
I do.
article,
I just put it behind me.
That basically suggesting that, the RNC approached Trump and said, listen, it doesn't look good. We will shift our support. We'll focus on the down ballot if you don't change your strategy. So there's this meeting, a come to Jesus meeting. I don't know. What can we expect from this meeting today?
Well, I think what we're going to see is both sides, a lot of people just basically saying, listen, Donald, let's get serious. Or on his side, listen, guys, you got to be giving me more support here. It's unclear exactly what's going to be coming out of this meeting, but I think what we'll expect to see is at least some sort of clarity moving forward. We'll probably see some statement afterwards, because news of this meeting has come out. Everyone's going to say, well, nothing to see here, all's well.
Right.
But in reality, what we're probably going to see is more of a defined relationship between the RNC and Donald Trump.
All right. Trump also said, Gabe, that he would be fine if Americans accused of terrorism were tried in Guantanamo Bay and at military tribunals. Is this, help me understand that. That's a serious sort of policy point that he's making there.
Absolutely. He said things like this before. He was asked this in an interview, and he just sort of said, yeah, sure, that sounds right to me. But basically, this is his way of continuing to hammer in on the law and order, national security stuff that really does drive his base. And so what he's trying to do here is hammer home the idea that, unlike Hillary Clinton, I'm the person who's serious about national security, and I'm the one that you can trust to really crack down.
But Gabe, but then help us understand those 50+ national security folks from the top ranks of the security apparatus in this country, Michael Hayden, to others saying, look, this guy should not have his hand on our nuclear arsenal. That's what they say. It's not what I'm saying. It's what they say. And so how is it that people that support him still believe that he is the one to get the job done, even though there's others who've been in this business for a long time say that that's not possible?
Because his entire premise is that the world is a mess, and all that he's saying is these 50 people who are saying that I don't know what I'm doing, they're the ones who got us in this mess. And to his voters, it's pretty compelling.
Right. So I have to ask you a question about Hillary Clinton. Sure. Obviously, she has her own problems. The the email scandal continues to evolve and change. She's got a lot to deal with there, and now we're hearing that she's probably going to be releasing her tax returns, maybe as early as today. Do you think there is strategy in the timing to maybe get us to talk about something else?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think what we're seeing here is, Hillary Clinton has released her tax returns for the last 30 years. This is one area where she's actually been pretty transparent. And what they're doing here is escalating this attack on Trump that they've been trying to use for months now. Non-stop, she talks about it on the trail, how Trump hasn't released his tax returns. What she's trying to do here is say, all right, let's go back on offense. We've let him have the headlines. He's been shooting himself in the foot. But what if we try and get people to say, well, what about his tax returns? They're trying to push the message here that he's hiding something, and this is exactly how they're going to push forward.
Gabe, the key word or the key phrase in your thought there was, this is one area where she actually is transparent.
Yes.
In other words, there are many areas where she is not, and that is the problem that a majority of Americans have with Hillary Clinton.
It's a huge knock on her, and we hear it all the time on the trail. The trustworthy problem is the one thing that keeps her from really breaking through in a lot of communities.
All right. Gabe Debenedetti from Politico, thanks so much for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Thank you.